There we go. And we're rolling. So welcome everyone back to the show, and super stoked for our guest today. This gentleman is actually one of the motivators that helped me create this podcast. So I've been following his podcast for a while. We've got Andy Murphy here, really focusing on mindset. He's got a podcast called Mindset by Design. And dude, thanks for taking the time to come on and share some of your wisdom about taking your mindset to the next level, as well as feel free to share any podcast tips for me, because I know you're well down the road that I'm wanting to go down here. So
I love it, man. I love it.
Glad we
and what I do love, Quinton, is your background, mate. That backdrop is, I've said it before, mate, but that's an immense backdrop, buddy. I feel like kind of a little jealous because mine's just like white, but hey.
You know, you've got the minimalistic look going, though. It really suits you, though. It looks good. And you know, it's funny. I just had another guy on 2 nights ago. I think you should connect with him, actually. He does a lot of coaching, and he's from the UK as well. So after offline, I'll kind of shoot you his info. And I mentioned you to him on the show, actually, and said that you'd be a great connection for him as well. So that's what I love about this. You know, like actually we got connected initially through just networking through a mindset or a mastermind group called the Brotherhood. And the guy that was just at my place the last 2 days here, Jeremy, I just recorded a podcast with him too, was from that. So it's great to kind of connect with like-minded people, man.
For sure. That's how the world should be, buddy, right? Just everyone helping each other out and everyone learning and growing. That's it, man. What else are we going to do?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly, man. And I think that you're a great example for that. Just like, you know, you're a super positive guy, and that comes from your positive mindset. And that's actually what you train people how to implement into their lives and businesses, how to really focus on the positive and the good in situations and opportunities. So maybe if you want to kind of share your story and how you got started and everything that you're up to, it might be a good place to start.
Yeah, it's a ride, man. You want to go down the rabbit hole ride? Okay.
Let's dive in. I'll get my tea here.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? I've got a cup of tea here too, mate. I'm actually in the UK right now visiting family, so we got to drink some tea.
Cheers to that.
It's a funny ride, man. I left Liverpool in the UK, where I'm from. I'm actually visiting right now, and I left when I was 24 years old.
Wow.
And
how old are you now?
Dude, I'm 40. I turned 40 this year.
Man,
I'm old now.
What's in that tea? Whatever's in that tea is keeping you young, man. I wouldn't have guessed that.
That's it. I love the compliment, mate. That's, I don't know, nutrition and all the rest, right? Mm-hmm. But I left when I was 24, and I went to Aussie, and I didn't know anyone. Didn't have a job, and was definitely not involved in mental performance in any way. Knew nothing about Neuro Linguistic Programming, NLP, nothing. And it was funny because I fell into it in sales.
Okay.
Plain and simple. I was very lucky how I got involved. It was basically, I was working on Armani, because back then I liked designers when I thought they were actually cool, right? And what happened is I went to a party. The guy at the party says to me, I'll get you a job, mate. And I went, whatever. Guy at a party says, I'll get you a job. And he goes, I'll call you tomorrow. And he did. Oh, yeah. And I went for this interview, and it was straight boiler room.
Wow.
It was straight boiler room. It was a group interview. It was straight boiler room. And I got taught, very lucky, by the guys who were the top in the world. And they were American, randomly. Mm-hmm. And it was all about how to implement neuro-linguistic NLP and psychological selling. And I didn't really, I got okay, but then it was about 4 or 5 months in, and then I became the top in Australia. We got headhunted to New Zealand, and that was where I got involved in real estate, investment real estate. And we got taken in. We were the crack crew to go in and take over this development company. It was the biggest in New Zealand. And cut a long story short, I became manager in 6 weeks, broke every record in that company, got headhunted to probably 4 different companies and just broke every record in every company. And a couple of years in, I was the top in the country, and I got bored. So my buddy this is having the balls of a 24, 25, 26 years old. My buddy came back with a newspaper clipping from Dubai, literally this big. I remember it. And it said the Worldwide Property Fair. My little brain went, I'm going to take Australian and New Zealand real estate to Dubai. So never put a business plan together, nothing like that back then. And went to a gentleman who well, I found out more about him later on, but he was much older than me, probably about my age now, actually. And then to get a business plan together, he was putting a project to build a resort in Fiji. And it was slow and all the rest of it, but he knew who I was. We came together. He said, let's take my project, let's take your concept, and let's build this, and let's go to Dubai. So that's what we did. Yeah, so we were putting together a $100 million resort. I was 26, 27 years old. It was bizarre because I live in shorts and flip-flops and like...
That's the only way to live. That's the only way to live.
Dude, it is, man. Yeah. But at that point, until I got into Fiji, I'd never even worn shorts and flip-flops in my life. That's how British I was, mate. That's how British I was. I'm telling you. And that just changed my life. We were the first like Westerners to go to the top of this island we were going to buy. We took it over to Dubai, selling it down. Everything went good. Come back to New Zealand, 2008.
Oh, yeah. Enough said.
Business partner buddy thought it was an awesome idea to steal all my money, lied to me, watched me going through bankruptcy, watched me go through a nervous breakdown, watched me lose my pro model as a girl, my second 5 Series BMW, which are all things I thought were important, and then my house, investment, real estate, gone. He just lied to me and watched me go through it all. And I went to basically from that to living in the basement of an MMA gym, training and fighting every day.
Wow.
And yeah, and that's where it was, I lost everything, but that's where everything changed. Because I remember Quinton, man, sitting there, and I remember my car being taken away, and I was looking out the window going, all right, this is where we are.
Yeah.
Little voice kicks in my head, goes, you know, you're good at what you do. Yeah. So what do you want to do? So that was the point, right? So a couple of things came in. A little voice in my head said to me, what would you do every day and you wouldn't even give a damn if you got paid, but it would excite you? And I just literally, this little voice in my head just wrote like pages of this stuff. And then I was another little voice, and I said to my mate, download everything about NLP that you can possibly imagine, right? Give it me all. I'm taking this to another level. And I used to train sales departments, set up departments, all of this, those train CEOs, all in sales and all of this mindset stuff.
Yeah.
And then this was the bizarre thing though. This is how it took me to LA, was that I was sitting there and 100 files he gave me, like 100 files. And I'm sitting there going, shit, where am I going to go with this? Literally, I remember this, buddy. It sounds really weird, but I looked up and went, show me where to go, man.
Yeah.
And I went inside.
Yeah.
Just went inside one folder, which took me inside another folder, which took me to a course. And I listened to that 24 CDs, and then my OCD kicks in, and I hand wrote word for word, comma for comma, those 24 CDs.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the way I was back in the day for sure. Even more obsessive than I am now. And it was from there. What was weird is, well, cut a long story short, that's what took me to LA. Okay. So I turned down a job in Hong Kong to work for real estate developers, large real estate developers. They wanted to fly me over that week. Intuition kicked in. Instead, I couldn't afford rent, couldn't afford food. But I borrowed money and flew to LA for 5 days.
Wow.
For like an NLP seminar and a mindset seminar, and then came back, done.
Wow.
Had an amateur fight, MMA fight, and then left and went to LA. And that was where I started working with pro fighters. Okay. So I was working with a lot of professional fighters, WEC back in the day, and all of this in LA. And that's what took me into working with entrepreneurs. Started working with Hollywood actors, producers, ended up working with Saudi royalty, And it was just, that took me into the entrepreneur world.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I worked with, back in the day, I worked with so many different types of people, Quinton. Like I worked with abuse victims, post-traumatic stress, people who were OCD, space picking disorder, people who were collapsing and no doctors could fix them. And I fix all these people, even rape victims. And then it was like, I realized that that's kind of intense.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? That's intense. But
to put it mildly, yeah, right.
Mate. But then I realized that all of those problems, well, every entrepreneur has them. So I just started focusing on entrepreneurs because we're all crazy. Yeah. So it's like all of those issues and everything else, that's what we do. So what I do is real scientific, technical retraining of the brain, really. That's really what I do.
So for people that don't really know, or they've heard the phrase NLP, maybe break that down. Like, what is that? What does it mean? And why is it important?
It's where I started. Like these days, I have my own systems called Neuro Retraining, which is, it's involved with neuroscience, gamification, all this stuff. But NLP is Neuro Linguistic Programming. What the heck does that mean? Neuro, brain, linguistic. The language that we use represents the pictures in our head, right? So we don't know the word, then we don't know what it is. So, and then programming, or it could be reprogramming, it's just the brain, right? So what that means is we're dealing with really to put it into simplicity, we're retraining the nervous system to respond a different way. So if I could ask you any question, it could be about the future, the past, whatever it is. What are you doing in 5 years on a Tuesday, Quinton?
Yeah.
Right, it doesn't matter. Your brain starts to go, I don't know, but it tries to answer it. Well, the thing is with business and life, we have these automatic programs. This is the unconscious bit of our mind. It's the automatic bit of our mind. So the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act about people, places, things, the past, money, success, but also picking up that phone, also closing that next deal, stepping into that business merger. All of these things affect our nervous system and how the brain is actually going to respond chemically, everything, our focus, our beliefs, our attitudes, all of this stuff. Yeah. So when we can drop people into, I do so many things like marketing and all the rest of it, but let's just talk about this. When we drop people into trance, what does that mean? It means that we're really altering the brainwave. So like when people meditate, for example, right? Meditation is huge right now.
Yeah,
right?
As it should be, yeah.
As it should be. I meditate every day, mate.
Yeah, me too.
But it's step one. This is what people don't get, right? Step one is meditation is beautiful because it creates complete presence and peace, and it switches the nervous system, connects different parts of the nervous system. It's beautiful. Yeah. But once you're present, well, the brain isn't designed to any visuals to go in any direction. So once we're in that place, we've got access to the software, if you want to call it that. And the software, I describe the unconscious mind like this. It's the bit of your brain that's very similar to a computer. The heck does that mean? Well, the software in the background of a computer runs automatically, gets outdated, and makes you or your computer perform a certain way. This is the same thing. So just like software, we've got to update it. Well, by dropping people into the visuals, what this means is we're able to start retraining what they think, what they see, what their automatic response is. Then this forms into habits, this goes into our nervous system, and that starts to become us. If that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. Like I was and still am heavy into personal development, and I've studied like the reticular activating system.
That's it. You're right. Yeah.
Mind, like all that stuff is just like I geek out on that hardcore, man. Like because I know that healthy mind, healthy body, and just everything flows from that. And
absolutely,
I think that people talk about going to the gym to work out, be healthy. I think that people also need to work out their mind and just like be aware of what they're focusing on. And that's why I don't watch horror movies. That's why I don't listen to crazy music. I listen to podcasts in my headphones instead of just like all this trash, like it's just so important to be conscious of what you're putting into your mind and watching, because it just affects you, you know, like I went to a big film festival here, and man, I literally got physically ill from watching this incredibly disturbing movie. Like, this movie was so dark and so just whacked out as one of these, like, you know, indie films of this like director. And I was just like, I felt myself like physically triggered and affected by just what I was watching. And, you know, just think about if you're in an environment all the time where you're polluting your mind or your, you know, vision with just really dark or depressing stuff, it's definitely going to affect every part of, you know, how you process things and who you become, you know. It's so key to just, and you know what actually was a huge game changer for me? It's so cliche, but I watched the movie The Secret on New Year's Day 2007, and man, that just did a 180 in my life. I just changed everything, and I just went hardcore into personal development and just becoming super aware and conscious of everything that I think and consume. Man, that whole science of, you know, the physiology of words and visualization and, you know, affirmations, it's huge. It's huge.
It's everything. And that's what people don't understand, because when we start to understand that this is a muscle, then you've got it, you know, it's like lifting weights on your left arm for 20 years. And then you start to lift weights on your right arm and you're like, oh, this feels awkward. It feels strange. You know, what's going on? I'll just go back to my left arm. Yeah. But your left arm's massive, mate. Stop lifting weights on your left arm. It looks stupid. But it feels normal. You know, it feels normal. That's the way we are with our brain, man. We keep doing things that hurt us. We keep sabotaging ourselves. We keep going to continuing patterns of behavior that hurt ourselves, people that holds us back. It creates anxiety. And these days, what's the world full of? Anxiety. Depression,
anxiety, pills, popping pills to try and relax and be happy. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people here watching this and listening to this that are saying, yeah, that sounds like me. What is one or a couple things that you could recommend to people to try and start turning things around and updating their software, as you say?
I like it. Well, first of all, we've got to become what I call consciously aware of what's automatically playing, right? And then we've got to interrupt it. So meaning, what the heck does that mean? It means we've got to really get used to what's actually playing in our head. If you're walking into a room and you're instantly thinking or feeling anxious or stressed or worrying about what other people are thinking, or start going in your head and your self-talk's going crazy, and you probably want to like have a little look at what is actually playing when you do that, right? So what people don't, they think that's normal. Walking into, I'm just anxious, or I'm just stressed. No, there's a certain movie that's playing in your head. There's something that you're saying to yourself, right? That's probably connected to somebody said something to you, or you've had a situation that's happened, and then you make a decision about it, right? So then when we understand that, we repeat that pattern, the muscle gets stronger and bigger and thicker, and it just becomes easier to do. And then we think that's just how we are, right? But it's not how we are. It's just what we've done is created that pattern, that movie, that response, you know?
I think that I think that you're absolutely right. And the main thing you know, I'm saying that no one's perfect, you know, like, even though I've been aware of this for 10 years plus, like, I still find myself like stressing out or having anxiety or just like these constant, you know, like, because we're born with all this conditioning from 0 to 7, and that really affects you. Like you said, if someone said something in your past or an event, you know, like, it's hard to really just you know, update the software, as you say. But I think the first step, as you said, is just being conscious and aware of it, and then just looking at it and saying, okay, well, I see that, and I don't really like how that feels, or how I think about that. Let's try and change that, you know?
Right. And so I love that. And then the second step is like, it's just keeping it simple. If you're responding like that to something, then what you're doing is understanding that the unconscious mind works like this. Its default setting, it will just keep looping. Neurology just wants to complete. And it's not until we interrupt it that we can create a different perspective. But then we've got to where's it going? Yeah. So even if I called the brand Mindset by Design was for that reason.
Yeah.
Like we've got to design what we want. And that's the same with business. It's the same with every area of our life. And if we design it, so like stepping into that room, for example, okay, well, we know what we're doing, but what do we want? Right? Well, we want that. Okay. So if we keep focusing on what we really want, then it starts to feel more familiar.
Yeah.
And as it starts to feel more familiar, guess what? The old pattern starts to feel stranger. Then this starts to take over, right? There's all these techniques and tools and all of this, but the truth is, that's really what's happening, right? That's Absolutely. Responding, we're interrupting, we're designing what we want, and then we repeat that becomes the behavior, right? That's it.
And, you know, I love your brand, you know, Mindset by Design, and the majority of people are mindset by default or life by default because, you know, like who really sits down and writes out a plan, like you said, that what you want to do and create for your life or business plans. Like people just kind of wing it. Like every day, do people really have like a list of targets they want to do or a to-do list? Like people are just kind of like floating through life, and that's how their mindset works. Things float in and out, and they're not really conscious of really anything, how they're living, what their goals are, what their aspirations are. And, you know, I think that's what I really love about your show and your whole brand, that you're waking people up to be like, hey, you know, you need to take the time to be proactive instead of just going in this default mode.
No, totally. And the thing about this, mate, it's no one's fault.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
all got to understand this at different stages in our life, and it's a constant growth mode. I mean, God, it's like we all freak out, we all get stressed, we all get angry. But the difference is, for sure, right? Especially being an entrepreneur. But the thing is, as you get better at these techniques and tools, that stress is always going to come. But the difference is, it comes for less time.
Yeah, right.
That's the difference. And what all this is about is that, I obviously I work with high-level entrepreneurs and this and that, but the truth is, it's just when people can really understand that this life is purely infinite, you can do whatever you want, right? It's like you can build a life however you want. I come from a crazy rough background in Liverpool. All of my mates are still doing exactly what they were doing when they're like 18. Some of them are still working in like glass factories and all the rest of it. Most of them, like 98% of them, don't even know what I do.
Yeah.
He works online or something, doesn't he? That's it.
Yeah.
But what's the difference? I'm not special.
Yeah.
It's just you get focused and you learn and grow and really. There's two ways for people to understand this. Most people get used to the pain.
Yeah.
It becomes desensitized. They sit in the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And that begins to feel normal.
Yeah, right.
And in the UK, you could say to someone, like, how's your job? I hate it. Oh, I hate this job. Cool, change it. I don't know about that. This is what I do.
Yeah, right.
Like, man, it's like if people only understood that their imagination creates everything. There's not a computer, a building, or an idea that's ever happened that hasn't come out of someone's imagination. The car, everything.
Yeah.
And when people can really start to work that out, it's not really rocket science.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just requires putting yourself around the right people too.
Yeah, that's big. And that's kind of how we're even here right now is, being a part of masterminds and surrounding yourself. And that's what, Jeremy today, I said, what's the number one thing that attributed to your success building like an 8-figure business? And he's like your network, masterminding, pushing each other, encouraging each other, bouncing ideas off. And, if you're around a bunch of negative people, that's going to affect you. And people that are kind of with no aspirations and stuff. So I can totally agree with that.
And it affects you in a few different ways, Quinton, because it's like if you're hanging around with people like, say, for example, who I grew up with, what's the conversation? What are their beliefs about what's possible?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
What are they doing on a daily basis? Are they really into like mental performance and health and like growth? No.
Yeah.
So what happens is, they call it the tall poppy syndrome in Australia.
I know it. Yeah.
You know the tall poppy. You know it, man. You're that side of the world. Yeah. So tall poppy syndrome is what? Well, there's the grass. The beautiful poppy grows out, stands above everything else. The blades come along. The grass cutter, cuts it down.
Yeah.
And so people get scared about being authentically them. Yeah. People get scared about standing out. But I always tell this story, like, because I've lived in LA for quite a few years before. And it was like looking at Hollywood as a marketing machine and actually a concept, really fascinating, right? Because obviously brilliant. They've impacted the world. But who are the people that actually make it in Hollywood? The people that are really just like them, the Brad Pitts, the people that are them. Now, the rest of Hollywood go to Hollywood, and what do? They try to be like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Brad Pitt's the person who stands out because they're authentically being them.
Right.
So when we start to understand that about society, when we start to understand that the programs that we're watching, the Instagram accounts that we're following, the Facebook videos that we're watching, well, guess what? All of those are directly affecting us because of the language, the visuals, everything. And when people start to understand that, then you're probably going to stay off Instagram as much, right? Because whether you post and get a like to get a dopamine hit, well, guess what? Don't get enough likes, not enough dopamine. Now we're feeling bad. Oh, the algorithm's going to kick you in a different direction. But it's society has really programmed the world in an interesting way,
Speaking about social media, I had an interesting thought, and I shared this with somebody. I said, imagine if social media did not display how many followers you had and all the likes and comments were private. No one else could see them. Or even that there's just no such thing, that you can only post it and you have no idea what the reaction or response is. There's none of these influencers. No one knows how many people are following the other people. And just imagine how that would just change and shift society, that it's not this popularity contest anymore. It's just people sharing what they like, not for that hit. It'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Think about that. I know you have because you thought of it, but it's like, I think it would be beautiful because it would stop people's egos, but it would stop people's insecurities. And people and that's what's happening. It's like, I've got a little 16-year-old niece and she's a real pretty girl, but guess what? You try getting her on social media without a filter. It's like, what? Why are you using a filter? Because
you mean to make her look enhanced, kind of? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like that's bizarre. That's bizarre. It's like we're trying to, again, society, whatever you want to call it, is like trying to create these. They're not even human. It's not real.
Yeah, it's not. And I'm here in Asia, man, and it's on a whole nother level here. Like people are just glued to technology. Like it's spooky, man. Like I can't imagine what it would be like being like a teenager now, growing up with Facebook. Like we're similar ages, Like we didn't have that when we were going through high school or middle school and all that. Like just imagine what these kids are going through now. I think
we didn't have that.
Exactly. I think that there's going to be a big need for services that you offer people. Not that there isn't now, but I think in the future it's going to be even more in demand because of the way that people are going to be, just psychologically just like fucked,
Fucked.
basically. Yeah.
And it's interesting because X amount of years ago, it was something I was looking at, but it became an actual big thing with coaching. It's like this was the Middle East actually, so whether it's different across the world, but it's straight phone addiction.
Oh, for sure, it's everywhere. Yeah,
and they were breaking it, and it was like they were literally specific courses and camps and boot camps and training to break people of phone addiction. It's like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the biggest addiction that's out there, man. It's probably the addiction that affects the most people.
You're probably right, man. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's also a beast, right? And so what it shows me is that again, instead of looking externally for validation, we have to really evolve ourselves inside. So the only person that we need validation from that we're doing the right thing is us.
Yeah, man. Are you connected with Ryan Daniel Moran? I know he was in the Brotherhood. Have you connected?
I've met him before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met
his last podcast, or one of his last recent episodes, I think it was just called "You're Enough," and it was like so deep, man. Like he shared everything, how he was just like super depressed. And he looked at his goals, and his goals were like, I want to hit 100,000 followers, just all this stuff. He's like, this isn't the goals of a happy person. This isn't healthy, and then he just started realizing like, I'm enough without all of this. Like, it was a really powerful discovery. I just, I know that we were all connected in the Brotherhood before, and I wasn't sure if you're still connected with him.
No, yeah, I met him in New York once before. But it's interesting you say that, mate, because talking about entrepreneurs and dealing with everything, I've dealt with trauma and all the rest of it. But like one of my clients this morning found out last week he got cancer.
Wow.
Ball cancer.
Wow.
Right. So
how old is he?
He's probably like 35.
Ouch. Wow.
Yeah. Ouch is the word as well, right? So he's again, it's an entrepreneur going through it, right? So he's quite evolved. So he understood that everything's about growth and lessons and all the rest of it. But that like shook me this morning. So we did a deep hypnosis like with him to really like clear the trauma that he believes was creating. It created that, but it was demasculation.
Yeah.
It was, and that was the biggest thing. And it was like, he goes, oh, I'm trying to launch these things. It's like, am I going to be like, is this business going to work? Am I going to still be a man?
Yeah.
After the cancer.
Just some feedback for him. One of my really good friends went through that, and he's fine now. He came out, flying colors on the other side, and they just had to take one out. They took out one of his testicles, but everything else still functions fine. And it's definitely scary, but it's not the end,
No, and that was the beautiful thing, and he knows that. And I truly believe that it's for his own growth, but he was going down a path with different type of coaching. Uh-huh. And I just think this is the universe giving him like a wake up call or a slap and just aligning him truly with what he's supposed to be doing. And that's serving a different type of person.
Yeah.
And whatever that means, it's like, it's a strange world we live in, man.
Yeah, it really is, man. It's just, I mean, I'm a believer, like, I'm Catholic, and I believe that there's a higher power kind of orchestrating everything. And it's really helped me through some, traumatic and dark times that, hey, this is in the long run, a silver lining will come out of this. And it usually always does in one way or another.
It does.
But I want to kind of look at what is your kind of, because you're kind of a guy I look up to with your big podcast and with your coaching practice. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking at, kind of following in your footsteps with them and building. How do they all tie together? Like with you talk about different clients you work with. Like, how are you kind of attracting these clients? Is this mostly coming through your podcast or networking? And how have you kind of built everything that you've accomplished?
No, that's a great question. Before the podcast, like I've been doing, like obviously 16 years I've been involved in like sales and mental performance, but the last was it 12 years I've been doing this, right?
Okay.
So when I first came into this world, it was like, not many people were coaches, mate.
Yeah.
And like, I was the one like trying to tell people what coaching was, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like in MMA, it was like, there was nobody in the world doing what I did. And I introduced so many concepts into that in the UFC stuff. And now look at it, right? And so back in the day, it was really just hustling around and building networks.
Yeah.
And as people get to know you, they start to trust you. And as they trust you, then guess what? Clients come from that.
Yeah.
So the other side of it is, as we evolve past all that, and like the podcast is 4 years old now, it actually changed. It was interesting. It changed the demographic of my client base. It changed it.
How so?
Because I was working with like people who were like just monsters all the time. That was my only clients, right? And they just refer. And then
by monsters, you mean just like really successful, or like
yeah.
I don't know.
Not literally like the Loch Ness monster, but yeah, be like monsters in that industry. Like people are doing absolutely incredible, amazing things. You know?
Got it. Yeah.
Inspiration. And light years ahead of me in business. But again, I know how to tweak this like a high performance vehicle. Mm-hmm. So then the podcast came along and it opened me up to the world. So I'd get people from every type of background and every type of country and like all over the world. And it was madness, like hundreds and hundreds of people like booking focus sessions to speak to me. Wow. And it just changed the whole demographic of everything. And so the podcast is like, I narrow it down to, I'm very clear on who I work with. And there's the criteria to work with me. There's like, you've got to fill something in. It's an income bracket that you have to be able to work with me, because the truth is I can help everyone, but the amount of time, effort and energy, I have to give my heart and soul to a client. Like I'm in. I have to be fully in, and I'm obsessed with their results. Yeah. So if someone's not earning enough money, then when I tell them a price that I can do to help them, they're like, they freak out, right? Yeah. So it's out
of curiosity, are you comfortable sharing what that price ballpark would be, or is it?
It ranges between $5,000 to $25,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's per year or per what?
It can range from a month to I suppose 3 to 6 months, depending on the package. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I'm kind of looking at different packages and price points, and I'm just, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, we can talk afterward too.
Yeah.
But really what it's about is getting clear on who you want to help.
Yeah.
Because you can't help everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the thing. And it's also I'm working with CEOs. I'm working with systems. I'm working with actually, like I say, I'm not a business coach because I haven't bought and sold multi-million-dollar businesses. Yeah, I work on businesses all day because I'm working with the CEO and I'm working with the founder, and I'm evolving their perspective around every area of the business so we can like automate their business, step them out, build this, change their beliefs. But the point is, it's like, those prices have grown, right? For over a long time. That's the thing. It didn't start like that. Yeah. I went from New Zealand, where I was earning a couple of grand a day. I'm working like 3 days a week selling real estate. Obviously, I was closing deals. And then I went to LA. I went to $100 a session. You know what I mean? And then you just build it up. And now I'm a couple of grand a session. And the reason is, and this is the reason, I will never burn through anyone's sessions. And I am obsessed with taking someone to a place with a result that they never knew was even possible. I make them perform in like they didn't even know was possible. And I guarantee everything. That's how confident I am with this stuff.
Yeah.
So I can charge those prices. And I know people, mate, who charge 3 times as much. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, what's the value? Everyone would fly first class if they didn't have to pay, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
You know?
just to put it in perspective, like, I know with Ryan's program, he charges $100,000 for his back room mastermind, like $100,000 for, like, these Amazon sellers and stuff. And it's packed. There's a bunch of people that have paid that. Same with like the Genius Network, Joe Polish. I think his is $100,000 or up there between.
But the initial thing's $25,000 because I'm looking at I've just got accepted and I was looking at jumping in or not. So
really? Okay. Yeah,
it's still $25,000, right?
I think there's different levels. Like the entry one's 25, and then they have like an elite one that's $100,000. So like, there's money flowing in and out of these things, man, for sure.
There is, and it's all about it just depends what level of the game you're at, and there's all different levels of coaching. But the truth is, it's like coaching's not a new thing; it's just a new industry. We go back to Roman days. Caesar had some dude sitting next to him who's his advice counsel. What's that? That's a coach.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's like, I've never heard it described that way, but that's very, very true and brilliant. Absolutely.
True.
Yeah.
That's what they were. There's no difference. They were coaches.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins really created this industry, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It went mainstream after that.
He's a beast.
So yeah. Is there anything else that you think that if someone's looking to, I would say, hire a coach, what should they look for? Like what is the criteria, I guess?
That's a great question, bud. It really is. And I'm about to say some things bad about the coaching world.
Yeah, please do, because I agree with it completely. I probably know what, but yeah.
And we can swear, right?
Absolutely. Let loose.
I like it. Okay. The coaching world's completely fucked up now.
Yeah.
Truth. Because we have internet marketers who have come along. Like, I can mention names. I think they're brilliant, but still, the marketers, like Sam Ovens and all of these people have come along, and they've decided that to sell the average person and you're an average person. Now we're going to teach you how to be a marketer, charge massive prices, which are insane, and push out into the world because you can specialize in this one niche, and that is going to help that person. Well, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Mm-hmm. Because what's happened is the coaching industry has been flooded with all of these people who have no concept, no experience, no value, no training, no nothing. And what it's done is it's just watered down the whole thing. And what's happened is people are getting terrible service. They're not getting results, and they're paying, because when someone comes to a coach, they're like in a place that they want to grow, evolve. And they're like, some people go, no problems with the money. Some people will go, that's everything I've got. Please get a result. And then they're getting let down and burnt and hurt by these people. And it breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart because they're hurting people. And it just drives me crazy, because the truth is, it's like, I've said this to a coach in the past. I'm like, why are you charging that? Because that's what I'm valued. That's the worth. That's what I'm worth. And that's what I can do for clients. I'm like, awesome. Who do you work with? I work with high-level CEOs. Cool. How long have you been doing it? 18 months. Okay. What would happen if that CEO walked in the door and they were on the verge of committing suicide? Can you fix them? Can you sort them? Well, no, that's not what I do. That's working with entrepreneurs and CEOs. They come every different aspect, highs and lows and everything. Yeah. So how can you charge that amount of money without the wisdom behind it? You cannot. I have seen tens of thousands of people, right? And I'm still way undercharging myself. And so the point is, that's why I created the training system I have, and we'll talk about that if we want. But
Yeah,
it's because
absolutely.
I'm moving everything over to the groups, moving everything over to the 8-Figure Thinker training system and masterminds, and then I'm putting a product suite out. Why? Because I give everything I can with the podcast.
Yeah.
I do. I give everything I can. I just give value. I like. Do I get clients from that? Sure, but I'll get clients anyway.
Yeah.
I just give.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is just create a ripple and just shake up the actual coaching industry, because they're about to see other things. And I know you'll be in the same space with me, but it's a case of you have to separate yourself through talent and knowledge and wisdom and actually proving what you do to the world, because then all of these people in the next year, 2 years, won't have businesses anymore. They won't, you know?
Yeah, no,
That's
I agree completely. And it kind of like was a flashback, like when I got started in personal development. I was always interested in it like through high school and stuff, but when I really got into it in my, mid-20s, I actually just invested a lot. I invested about $22,000 to go and learn from Bob Proctor, a lot of the guys from The Secret, and was part of their kind of mastermind groups and stuff like that. And I was going to their conferences with like Sean Acor, the happiness professor from Harvard and stuff. So like I wanted to work and be around the best, because if you're just kind of, buying some ebook or something on, it's not like the same thing as building relationships with them and people like yourself. And I looked at it as university. Like I learned way more in those, years of traveling around, going to events and conferences than I did through, my whole university. And I spent, 20, all these events that we go to, like Landmark and Vipassana and all these deep work that, I enjoy doing for myself. It's still way less than what I paid for my whole degree that was in counseling. Like my whole degree was in pre-law, conflict resolution, mediation, which is very transferable. Like I learned a lot with that, but there's a difference between learning something from a professor in a classroom than sitting down with someone that, is just like filling auditoriums in their seminars and stuff, So like, I totally understand what you mean. There's a ton of charlatans out there. There's a ton of just like fucking bullshit of just like, churn them and burn them. So I think that it's really good that you take a stand for that. And that's kind of why I wanted to invite you here, because I know that you're legit. You've been in the game forever, and just the reputation that you have in our network of groups. And man, you're the real deal. So
thank you, bud. And that just shows me who you are too, because of what you've already grown. You don't invest it back, and you've been doing this a long time too. So what did you do first? You grew you.
Yeah, and
you become your own business model.
I think that the things that people should do first. A lot of people. I had Mitch Miller on the show. I don't know if you're connected with Mitch, but he's a big copywriter and kind of a interesting social media character. And he was saying how you could give someone a freaking $1 billion business, and if they don't have the mindset to level up to that, they're gonna fuck it up. Like you can give someone literally like the keys to like the perfect scenario, but if they're not the person that can handle it and step into that, it's useless. So you have to work on yourself first before you can really build something that's, and that's why for me, I put the work into myself, and now I'm looking at building a business out of this, because I know everything that I did to do and be confident to put myself out there. We need people like you, brother. We need people like you. Well, the thing is like, it's really inspiring to hear, because like you said, people think that they can buy a book on something or take a training course and like, okay, I'm certified now. But no, it comes from, years and putting in just that consistent development. And that's why I call my podcast Self-Developed Life, because the whole goal in life is to become the most self-developed person you can. So
and that's it. That's what else are we doing?
Yeah.
What else? I don't understand anything else. It's just, we constantly have to grow and evolve and get better, and we ultimately become the best version of us. And I love what you just said, Quinton. Sorry to interrupt there, mate.
No, go ahead.
Because what you spoke about was your mate then speaking about, if you got put into $1 billion business, you're not going to be at that level. That's exactly what I do right there. I scale people's thinking.
Yeah.
That's what everything my brand's about. From if you to move from 5 to 6 figures, 6 to 7, 7 to 8 plus. Because if you imagine this as the goal or the level of income or whatever the heck it is, right? It could be a Forex trader making a beautiful trade. It could be whatever. But that's your goal. Well, guess what? If this is your neurology box, you're looking up at it. That becomes daunting. Yeah. If we scale your thinking, if you're already earning 7, 8 figures a year, then what's your expectation? What's your belief system? What's your, you know what I mean? What's your focus? It's all matching it. And so to move from 6 to 7, 7 to 8 figures, that's the difference. It's just changing that neurology to match it, mate.
You know, I'm going to show you this.
Be careful with the fire, mate. You'll get burnt.
I'm going to show you these are the CDs that just totally changed my life back. I bought this program. It was $1,500. It was a $1,500 personal development program. But this was the first time I ever heard of limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs, and just like exactly what you said, how people will get whatever they expect. You know, if they have this target that's here, they'll hit that target. But like you said, to go beyond that, you need to take these limiting beliefs and freaking throw them out the window or upgrade them to create a new standard of what you expect. And I think that, you know, they should be teaching this in schools, man. Forget calculus, forget, you know, all that. Start working on this young.
Oh, imagine if they did. Imagine.
Well, I don't think, you know, you can go down that conspiracy, you know, dark holes that they don't want us to, you know, like they want people to kind of settle here so that they can kind of have the system that's been created maintained.
Yeah,
you know?
and
like,
I believe that. I really believe that. I believe that's another cog. They want you to be another cog.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sorry, the internet wobbled. The internet wobbled a second then. Hopefully we're good in a second.
Well, you know, we're coming up to the bottom of the hour. I know that, you know, you've got a packed schedule here, and I want to be very mindful and respectful of your time. Is there anything else that you want to touch on before we kind of put a wrap on this, or?
Just like my heart and soul right now is behind the training system that I'm putting out. It's the 8-figure thinker.
That's a great name, like I said earlier when we were chatting. I love it. I've just got rid of all the BS, the fluff, and everything out of the personal development industry. And it's built around NLP, neuro retraining, which are my systems, neuroscience, and gamification. And it's basically over 8 massive, it's the most in-depth mindset training system that exists on earth. And I'll put money on that because it's just, I don't know how I created this thing, but it's immense. It's immense. It's going to take, some guy was doing it, spending 25 hours a week, and it took him 3 to 4 months to complete. Wow.
So yeah, it's massive. And what it's doing is it's layering the neurology over the levels, including when we go into the later stages. It's even talking about subliminal sales. We're talking about unconscious anchoring, how to magnetize a room. But before all that, what we're doing, the first 4 levels, is about building this version of you to get ready to get over something I call the gap. And we've got to get over the gap, because otherwise we get snapped back to our old set point. And these are all concepts I've developed, because what happens is we pump up, go to a pump up seminar or whatever it is, right? Read the book, feel good, neurology stretches, we get triggered, we snap back.
Yeah.
But what this is about is actually moving over that gap and resetting a new set point. From there, that's where we do the next 4 levels. And so I truly believe it's just a game changer for people. The people that have gone through it, I didn't expect the results they get, and it just came out of me, man.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's webinar there, and it's gets launched this week, I think.
Wow. Well, that's huge, man. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll definitely link everyone's. I'll link your information for people to kind of get connected with you and your podcast and follow everything that you're doing. Last question for you. Talking about the subliminal you mentioned, do you ever play those subliminal beats or like, you know, I can't remember
binaural beats?
Binaural beats. What's your take on that?
I probably have them in my ears for 14 hours a day.
Really?
I swear on my life. It's actually surprising that I haven't got them in now. You're probably the only person I'll speak to today that they're not in my ears.
Wow. That's
People think that they're rubbish or whatever. That 100%, it's an app I'll be bringing out, but it's 100%. Sorry, I'm just putting power into my computer. They're absolutely brilliant. And how I discovered them was maybe 8 years ago.
HoloSync? Are you using
No,
HoloSync?
not HoloSync. No. This is just a pure different app for your iPhone. I'll send you a screenshot of it, but
that'd be awesome.
It's how I discovered this. I didn't know anything about it. 8 years ago, my oldest mate from the UK, who I've known since I was 7 years old, gave me this app. He said, check this out. He's never listened to it once. I've taught this to hundreds of people, right? And I remember getting messed around by a business partner, came back to the UK, and I was walking around. I think it was the Tate Modern in London. There was beautiful art, and I'm walking around going, just going psycho because of like this, what happened. And then I was like, little voice again, this little voice I love, mate. And it keeps me out of trouble. And it said to me, try that app. And I put reduce anger. 10 minutes. I was just walking around. Didn't think about it, just walking around. And then I was trying my hardest to get angry.
Wow.
Wouldn't happen. And then so I was like, there's something around this. And so I use different ones. I've got whole systems. I teach the private clients around this stuff, how to develop. But honestly, bud, I've increased people's focus levels from 20 minutes to 2 hours. I've been able to use them for anxiety reduction. I use them for everything. And they're powerful.
And that's just from one app. So you just have this app and it just plays it and you can select which, feature you want. Wow.
That's it.
Dude,
exactly.
Because I was looking at HoloSync and I was like, I don't know. But
I'm not into subscription, like a subscription binaural beats or of anything. I'm just like, no, there's the app. It's the best app I've ever seen for this stuff.
Perfect.
And I'll send you a screenshot, and I think it'll be a game changer for you.
No, that's amazing because I've been on the fence about that. I have these ones on YouTube I play in the background when I sleep. They're like those 8-hour ones and so
right.
on. But I've been looking for something that's, just the best, and that's amazing, man. Thanks for sharing that. I'm definitely stoked to check that out. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Definitely reach out. As you heard, this guy is a freaking sensei, Jedi master when it comes to everything mindset. Like I said, we've been connected for a number of years, and you can have a look at everything he's doing. He gets my highest endorsement just because of the company he keeps and obviously the results that he gets. So thanks so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And we'll do this again in the future, I hope.
Love to, and we'll get you on my show, bud.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I could even just send you this file too if you want to do something with it too.
Yeah, I'd love to too. We'll put it on my new YouTube channel that's coming out in the next few weeks too, mate. So beautiful. Mate. It's a pleasure. Thank you for getting me on.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.